Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to the video where we look at the best, or at least the most interesting looking games coming out next week.
Yep, in terms of dates, we'll be going from the 9th of March up until the 15th, and we'll first look at any games that have crept out for whatever reason without being in one of these videos, then we'll move on to the week at hand.
Lovely stuff. Make sure you save yourself money if you're buying physicals, digitals, or even hardware like joycons. All the links are down in the description.
So which games are coming out for the Switch this week? Well, let's find out. Let's start with a game from the sponsor of today's video and their latest release on the Switch, Warhammer 40,000 Dakka Squadron Flyboys Edition. This is of course set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe and sees you taking control of powerful Orc aircraft, engaging in intense air fights across various war-torn landscapes.
Yeah, there are 5 different planets that you'll be fighting on with various different objectives, such as defending a convoy, setting explosives, blowing up enemy aircraft, and you've got quite a lot of control over that vehicle. You can actually stop in the air and change direction with the push of a button, do barrel rolls, boost around, and even slow your speed.
You'll be able to join one of 5 available Orc clans, gaining various bonuses, and there are a number of ways to play each of the missions.
Yeah, you can customize that plane as well with a variety of different colors and liveries, and unlock new ships to create your best loadout.
Warhammer 40,000 Dakka Squadron Flyboys Edition, that is a mouthful, costs £17.99 and regional equivalents would have been on your screen. If you are interested in the game at all, there will be links in the top pinned comment and the description. And just again, a thank you to the publishing team for sponsoring this video.
First up from the games that already came out then, we've got Expeditions, a Mudrunner game which I reviewed on the channel and which didn't quite meet my expectations for a couple of reasons. Now if you like SnowRunner and the older Mudrunner game on Switch, you kind of know what to expect. They're almost RPGs on wheels, with the cars being your characters and then trying to decide exactly what you're going to do to complete various jobs. This one does hold your hand quite a bit more than those other games, and that's not necessarily a negative. It just depends on, your stance in terms of complete freedom. It does gradually open up, but the problem I have with this version and this release across all platforms is that they haven't included the multiplayer, which is a huge component of the other games, and they've just put a little sticker on the home screen saying coming soon. It feels like they've just kind of had to release rather than wait till it's completely finished. Check out the full review because it is a good game, it just needs a few tweaks.
Let's move on to the games coming out this week then, and first on the 11th we have Contra Operation Galuga.
Yeah, this is a reimagining, I guess, of the Contra games using that 2.5D art style that we've seen in a couple of games. You can play as 2 players through the story, you've got 4 players in the arcade mode, and there's a demo available as well if you want to check it out. It's very much the classic formula.
Yep, it's a reimagining of some of the older games from back in the 80s. You'll see some nods to those originals there, and it does also include some new features for this series, such as perks that you can purchase with your in-game currency to make things a bit easier, or at least customize things to a way that you like to play. As Mark mentioned, there are 4 different characters and you can play the arcade mode at least in up to 4-player co-op, and it will sell for £34.99 or your regional equivalent, although there is a 10% discount available up until the 22nd of.
Then we've got Death of a Wish, which comes from the same people that created Luca, which was a really nice game and has the same art style actually. It's an action RPG with a hack and slash style where you play as Christian as he unites with new comrades to challenge the cult that raised him. It's quite a horrific world, it has to be said, very stylistic, but if it plays like Luca, that's a very fast-paced action RPG with really nice tight controls. This one is £16.75 and it's releasing on the 11th.
Also this week then you have Highwater, which releases on the 13th and describes itself as a whimsical 3D adventure game with an isometric turn-based puzzle combat system.
Yeah, that's a really nice idea, isn't it? This looks absolutely lovely. Talk about merging different genres that are kind of unexpected side by side.
Yeah.
That whimsical adventure doesn't usually go with turn-based combat.
No, it doesn't. I also like the fact that it's that post-apocalyptic world, obviously over-flooded this time as opposed to overgrown. It's always nice to see when nature kind of fought back to a degree that it affected, the human race. And it will be interesting to see how that turn-based element plays into things, won't it?
Yeah, that one's £16.59 and it releases on the 13th. Then we've got one of my favourites from back on PC. It's Star Wars The Battlefront Collection, and I'm quite surprised they brought this one across, honestly, especially with the sequel that's been out for a long time. But this includes the classic Battlefront, Battlefront 2, all of the bonus maps that they released, which is quite a lot, as well as I believe a few arenas. And if you've not played them, essentially you play as like a grunt, like absolutely worthless little grunt,
right,
completely weak and helpless. But when you're with 64 other players online, it's quality.
Yeah,
Really good. Lots of different objectives, different different troops as well. You've got like Wookiees in there, droids, all sorts. And there's a mode, I think, called Hero Assault or something similar, where you have some of the heroes, and I believe some characters, some real people, sorry, get to play those online. Very cool. So you'll see like Luke Skywalker come across and dominate someone. Yeah, very cool.
Nice. Yeah, it mentions you can fight as Mace Windu, Yoda, Luke Skywalker, as you said, and others, of course, and you can battle against villains from the franchise, such as Darth Maul, General Grievous, Darth Vader, and again, many others.
For £31.49, I've got to be honest, I think that's a little bit steep. I know it seems like a lot of content, but this is older content, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very true. It's out on the 14th if you are interested, though, as Mark said, for £31.49 or your regional equivalent. We then have Monster Tribe, which appears to be a Pokemon-esque, monster catching / battling game. It says here that you are humanity's last hope. You are a sage born with a connection to the Atian, if I've said that correctly, capable of calling them forth. They're basically your monsters by the looks of it.
Yeah, there are 72 to collect here, which sounds like a lot, but honestly, Pokemon's got well over 100. I think most games tend to have a little bit more than that. There's nothing here, I think, personally, that's standing out massively to me. It could be, I don't know, a bit of a classic that we've never heard of, or there's a bit of buzz around it. But yeah, it remains to be seen, because this one launches at £17.99 on the 14th.
We then have Gylt, which appears to be one of the that very popular line of stealth horror games that you find these days. It says it has an eerie story which mixes fantasy and reality in a dark and melancholic world. There are puzzles to solve, and obviously that stealth action that I mentioned, set in a fictional mining town in the state of Maine. I think Maine, isn't that where Stephen King, a lot of his books are set?
I think so.
Yeah, they can't get a break there, can they, at all?
They can't. This looks really nice, but I will say there's no trailer, and these screenshots are definitely not sweet. Yeah,
it's a shame when they do that. It also should almost be mandatory that a trailer goes on for any game that's releasing. Hopefully, it's a good game, because I do like these horror stealth games. It's releasing on the 14th, and it will sell for £26.99 or your regional equivalent.
Next up then, the favourite for me is Kingdom Come Deliverance, the Royal Edition, which I believe I will be completing for the 4th or 5th time.
Oh dear me.
It's one of those games that you can play through probably 100 times and find different things, a bit like The Witcher.
Yeah.
One of the best open world games ever made, in my opinion. I actually prefer it to The Witcher, which is saying a lot. Incredible, very realistic in the way the world's designed, the buildings, the structures, the architecture, and I love that the main character is just such a sap. So yeah, honestly, he's Henry of Skalitz. He's just such a nobody, and I love that.
I remember you telling me about this game. I'm talking years ago now. Obviously, when you started playing it for the first time and saying how amazing it was. So it's quite almost surreal to see it. On the Switch now, or just about to release on the Switch at least, Yeah,
this is a miracle port for sure. It's going to cost you £39.99. Comes out on the 15th. It is 18 rated, that's worth noting, because it's very brutal at times. But do keep your eyes peeled for a full review.
The penultimate game for the week then, we have Rainbow Moon.
Best of all the moons, that.
It says that this is the definitive version of this strategy RPG classic.
Good.
Yep, that's what you want. And you'll be playing through an isometric world in a role-playing game with strong emphasis on exploration.
Yeah, it's part of the Rainbow series, and in fact, the Rainbow Skies game is releasing on the same day, and you can get them as a double pack.
Nice.
For like double the price. It's nice of them, isn't it? But if you're a strategy RPG fan, it sounds like these are actually quite well liked, quite fleshed out as well.
Yep, it promises a 40-hour main story with enough side content or missions to fill in more than 100 hours. There are 15 different terrains, from snowy mountains to rolling grasslands, and 50 unique quests as you traverse 20 challenging dungeons. It's going to sell for £13.49, and as Mark said, you can buy that bundle, which I believe was £26.99 if you are interested. All details, of course, are on the eShop.
That's some silly pricing right there, isn't it? Buy one game for this price, buy the other one for about a penny more.
I was hoping the other game was more expensive, otherwise it makes 0 sense at all.
I don't even know if you can get the other one on its own by the looks of it.
Ouch, okay. The other game is £17.99. Okay. There you go. It does finally make sense.
We'll let them off. Last up, we've got Orion Haste from Ratalaika Games, who tend to release cheap and cheerful experiences, I think is a fair way of putting it. And this looks like an interesting little arcade style, what is it, like a run and gun through 7 different levels on an alien infested planet, or don't even know if there's a planet. I can't really tell from that image, if I'm honest.
A factory.
Yeah, let's
an alien infested factory.
Yeah,
I do like Ratalaika Games. I mean, you say cheap and cheerful, with the emphasis being on cheerful, because it's all well and good getting a cheap game, but actually their games are pretty decent, and I do like their pixel art style, and this definitely has a nice colour palette to it for sure.
Yeah, it's not cheap and miserable.
No, you don't want that.
Never.
Who wants that? That's pathetic, isn't it?
That one releases on the 15th and is the last game for this week.
So there you have it, another week of Nintendo Switch releases. Do any of those games interest you at all? Will you be picking any of them up? Please do let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget you can get get your eShop credit if you're looking to pick these games up from our website, switchup.gg. Doing so will get you 5% back in cashback through our SwitchUp tokens. You can also get some physical games. There's some links down below to Red Art Games, 10% off if you use the code stated, or Play Asia, there's 5% off there. Again, use the code. And just one more thank you to the sponsor of today's video. Links to their game are in the description.
Yeah, it is actually a very good week. You'll find probably a few that we haven't talked about. Just talk about them down in the comments. Let people, make people aware of them. I know Forever Entertainment are releasing some good games. So yeah, really good week coming up.
A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care. Until next time, happy gaming.